Hey everyone, here comes your really quick update on the closes. So Sol daily close is not so bad. It has daily support. It broke a trend. It's going to want to target up to 210 from the trend break, but it's basically sandwiched itself under resistance. So chances are it's not going to be able to get there all that easy. If it does, it'll be a real scammy sort of wick up, I guess. 1 week close. They went up and pushed into that resistance just prior to the close, and then have rejected off that. So prices should be heading down to, where would price go? Price should be heading down to the 183, 182 range trend somewhere down there. 180, maybe even 179. It'll probably have a few bounces along the way, but just scalps. But as it stands, it looks like we're going to get a dump. 2 week close, closed above all the supports. That's great. Hasn't hard closed them, but it could retrace back to that sort of 182, 179 sort of area in there. Maybe have a bit of a bounce from there, but either way, it's a great place to close. It's up higher than it's ever been in all of this period through here, so that's good. 4 week close, closed above the old historic break level. 188, that's kind of what we wanted. It shifted the trend to the top side. So that gives it a trend around 203, 202. So it could hit that reject and then come down to try and find support on something lower down. The most bullish thing that could possibly happen is that this actually bounces the 188.8, but it's kind of unlikely. But hey, you never know. There's a lot of stuff on this week. The 8 week close, it closed above the support trend. That's perfect. That's where we want it to be. It could bounce on that trend. It could head to 247, or it can dive that trend to grab liquidity. But one way or another, the higher time frames are where we want them to be. The lower time frames are what's showing some sort of nasty retracements. So hopefully we don't get as deep a retracement as what we have here on the 38-day, because these higher time frames now should be able to offer some kind of support. Yeah, we may just continue on with that move up to 247. So be ready for a deep flush just in case, because that's kind of what the lower time frame, like the weekly, is implying. But at the same time, keep a close eye on it, because it could pump from relatively around here. Really, the only way to manage this is a swing position. The range is just too big to try and scalp it. Okay, so BTC. BTC quite literally opened just touching the uptrend. It's a bad place to open. It really could just take a dive from here and down to that sort of 110 area on the weekly is the closest thing. You can see it's rejected twice off this support at the top here. It's kind of running out of lives with that, because if it rejects off it a third time, there's just nothing to hold it now. So it's kind of approaching it from on the trend or the wrong. It's actually, if you look at it from a daily perspective, the candle opened on the wrong side of that trend. So yeah, if it goes up and hits that one more time, yep, goodbye. That's probably going to fall. There isn't really an anchor point, a good anchor point for the daily trend either. So it can't really adapt to that candle. Body's touching the weekly, so yeah, there isn't really a great adaptation point for the daily. It could just wick up. Has it lost? Still hasn't quite lost the daily range. So could wick up to 120. Reject off the hold candle at the top here of the daily range, and then fall because it started on the wrong side of that trend. So what we got going on? What's that? So trend moved there. Yeah, so it's still kind of started on the right side of that. Geez, it's in a really precarious spot. What do we get? We got a 2 week hold level. Well, that's good news. but we're under the trend. That's bad news. So that, what would that do? That would bounce up. What would that bounce to? About 119 or more. Maybe they go sweep the liquidity above some of this lower time frame stuff here. So we could get a bounce from 117.224 up to 120, and then a rejection from there. Really don't want it to go and take all that real high topside liquidity, but yeah, it could. And 4-week opened on trend at hard close. So we've got a yellow hard close here. So once we hard close this break level down here at 109.988, the next thing is to retest that break level. So trend moves up to the top side. That gives us 125 for potential topside rejection, and then a retest of the break level. So it could go up and down. What we really want is it to go down and up, and we can heavily long it. It's hard to short trends, particularly when they're high time frame trends, because it could go for a good big liquidity sweep above the trend. What do we got? 8-week closed on the top side of the channel. That's really bullish. But it's not a hard close, so of course it can retrace. The 8-week break level is the same as the 4-week, so it could come back and retest the break level 109.99, 109.988. And if it does that, it's out of the channel and then off to the races. Off that 140s, 150s, so that's looking pretty cool. And the 16-week close up above the trend, assuming that's the correct trend, and yeah, could again retest same levels. Right, there we are. So basically we closed in a pretty good position from a long-term perspective, but with the option of having a liquidity sweep or pullback. We could just bounce from here. It's yeah, if you're in a long, you wouldn't close it, but just make sure you're keeping an eye on your stops and your liquidation levels. If you're looking to short, you probably wouldn't short from here either. Maybe short if it goes up and does a liquidity sweep at the top side. Yeah, trade safe. And, hopefully we get this flush, and then we spend the next month or so longing up to wherever the new top's going to be. Cheers, bye.